Levinson, who retired after working more than 30 years for the DEA and FBI, disappeared in 2007. In 2010, these documents purporting to detail his arrest in Iran were anonymously emailed to Christine Levinson. She later received these pictures and this videotape.
I have been held here for 3.5 years. I am not in very good health.
The video sparked hope he'd soon be released, but there's been no further proof of life.
Do you think he's alive?
I do believe he's alive. We have never received any information that shows anything else.
Intelligence sources agree he's likely still alive. McGee says the Iranians see him as a valuable bargaining chip.
We believe the Iranians know the value of what they have. They have trade bait. They have a man they can swap to the United States.
His family says until that swap occurs, they won't give up.
The White House says Levinson's case is still now a top priority in their ongoing efforts to win his release. Both President Obama and Secretary of State Kerry have personally raised the issue with top Iranian officials.
But what about Bob Levinson? He is the longest held hostage in U.S. history. Levinson, a former FBI agent and working for the CIA as a contractor, vanished in Iran in March of 2007. It's more than 9 years ago. And in January of this year, the White House said it's not sure where Levinson is.
We have reason to believe that he no longer is in Iran. And that's why we continue to press for information about his whereabouts. And we're going to continue to do that. And we've secured a commitment from the Iranians to use the channel that has now been opened to secure the release of those individuals that we know were being held by Iran unjustly. To use those same channels to try to gather information about Mr. Levinson's possible whereabouts.
Bob Levinson's son, Dan, goes on the record. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening, Rita.
Dan, your family has written another letter to Iran today. What are you seeking?
We're trying to get my dad home. It's been almost 9.5 years, and we've been on the show many times now, and we're trying to make sure that the Obama administration and the Iranian government are going to be working together to make sure he's brought home, because we do believe that the Iranian government arrested him and that they have been holding him and they're responsible for him. So they have the responsibility to bring him home to us. They're doing, as part of this nuclear deal, Iran promised to do everything they could to bring my dad home, and so far they haven't. They haven't followed up. I went over there. They didn't have any answers. They didn't even follow up on my letter I brought to them there, and it's not enough. And the Obama administration needs to put more pressure on them. They need to be talking to them constantly and making sure that this is resolved.
Robert Levinson, a former FBI agent, vanished in 2007. The FBI believes he was captured on Iran's Kish Island while on a mission for the CIA. This April 2011 photo of Levinson in an orange jumpsuit still gives his family hope that 8 years later, he is fighting and staying strong. The reward for information leading to the 71-year-old's return has been increased to $25 million. Sarah believes the reward and President Trump's Twitter messages demonstrate that the U.S. government is engaged on the issue.
People want to bring Bob Levinson home, and we're so thankful for that. And we believe that if anyone's going to be able to do it, it's President Trump.
Bob Levinson has a large family across the country pressing for his return. A wife, 7 children, and 9 grandchildren. Who's that in the picture?
Grandpa Bob.
Including 6-year-old Sean, who is looking forward to a reunion.
What do you think he's going to think of you?
I think he's going to think I'm a little awesome.
It'll never be enough until he is home, because it's been almost 9 years, as you mentioned. This has spanned 2 presidential administrations, and President Obama has had 7 years to get him home. And he just promised yesterday that he was going to be doing everything he could. Secretary Kerry said the same thing. And I worry that after things like this, after the nuclear deal last summer, after this, I don't understand what they're going to be doing. What is their plan going forward? We haven't heard from them since the initial call. And we'd like to speak with them and find out what are they doing to get my dad home now? What are the next steps? Because we're just lost here, and we're desperate, and it's been going on for so long, and he doesn't deserve this. He was over there serving his country, and he needs to be prioritized to bring someone who has dedicated his life to serving his country and can't be left behind and abandoned.
Now, most of the recently freed hostages are still being treated at an American air base in Germany where they are reconnecting with their families. But at least one American is still missing in Iran, Robert Levinson, who has been missing for nearly a decade. His family says they are, quote, crushed and outraged that he was not included in this prisoner swap.
We're happy for the other families. However, we wish we could be there as well celebrating Bob's safe return home. Unfortunately, that's not happening.
Now, on Sunday, President Obama promised Levinson's family that he will not be forgotten, but already, keep in mind, he is already the longest held hostage in U.S. history.
My purpose is to find my husband and bring him home, and I'm hoping with the help of the Iranian officials that I will be able to do that on this trip.
And what do you expect from the Iranian officials? What kind of help and support do you?
I'm sure that they will help me any way they can. They have assured me that they will help me find my husband if possible.
Yes. And your sister, yeah?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Not since he disappeared on March 8th of 2007.
And what are your plans, what are your schedules during this trip?
Well, so far we hope to meet with the officials over the next couple of days and also travel to Kish Island to retrace my husband's steps and see if we can find out any answers.
As you know, 4 Americans are being held captive in Iran right now, including former FBI agent Robert Levinson. He's been missing since 2007. His son, Dan, is the man you heard from just a minute ago. Dan joins me now live from Washington. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Well, in this day and age, we have a very short attention span, especially with the media reports, and we've been used to it. It's been over 8 years, and we've seen my dad's case in the news, and then it'll die down, and then people forget about it for a long time. And that's why I'm very grateful that you're having me on here, because it's been a couple of days now, and we're already worried that the people are going to drop the ball, and the pressure is going to be off. So I think it's really important to keep this message out there and keep letting people know that he's out there. He's suffering the most unimaginable nightmare, and he just wants to get home to his family, and people need to understand that, and people need to demand action. This is our best chance to really get my dad home.
Do you think that the United States' negotiations over Iran nukes is helping or hurting in this case?
We've always been in favor of engagement, and for several years of my dad's captivity, there was no discussions whatsoever. A couple years ago, President Obama and President Rouhani had a phone call when the Iranian president came to the United States, and during that call, it was a short call, but President Obama did note his concern for my dad's well-being, and I think that kind of talk and engagement at the highest levels is very important.
And that's where the frustration comes in, certainly, Dan, for you, where right now we're negotiating with Iran. Right now we're discussing what should be on the table in terms of establishing trust. There has been some news reporting given to Pastor Abedini, who has been held there supposedly for his practice of Christianity. Your father wasn't really on the radar. Did you make efforts to them? Do you think he should be part of this negotiation?
Well, we've been told, and the U.S. officials have been saying in recent days, that he's brought up in every opportunity to have on the sidelines of these negotiations, and they're going to continue to press his case, and we have no doubt that the U.S. government is doing everything they can. Something I'd like to note that was very important for us was during that phone call 2 months ago between President Obama and President Rouhani, which was the first direct contact between the leaders of our two countries in 34 years. President Obama did bring up my dad's case, and we think that was very big for us, and it shows how important it is to the U.S. government, and we're very grateful for President Obama bringing that up, and we're just hoping that President Rouhani and his administration can follow up on that request.
I need the help of the United States government to answer the requests of the group that has held me for 3.5 years. And please help me get home. 33 years of service to the United States deserves something. Please help me.
Permit contact to release him, to make it clear that there is a new attitude in Iran, as we believe there will be with the Obama administration, toward engagement, carefully constructed and with very clear outcomes attempted.
His name is Bob Levinson.
That's right.
What is important is that we work to bring
Bob Levinson home safely to his family in Florida. His family misses him dearly. He does have medical issues, and we continue to welcome any help that the Iranian government can provide in determining Mr. Levinson's welfare and whereabouts so that he can be reunited with his family as soon as possible.
These past 9 years without having him in my life has been devastating to me and my family.
And I felt an obligation to get our city of Coral Springs engaged in this issue.
The news got the attention of President Trump, who tweeted, "If Iran is able to turn over to the U.S. kidnapped former FBI agent Robert A. Levinson, who has been missing in Iran for 12 years, it would be a very positive step." Dan Levinson said the Trump administration has made his father's case a priority.
The fact that he did tweet about this shows how important it is to the Trump administration.
I don't have any comment whatsoever on the condition with respect to employment or any other issue, except to say to you that we have raised the issue of his whereabouts on a continuous basis. I have personally raised it with the Iranians in the course of our discussions, and we will continue to try to seek his release and return to the United States.
I just saw that President Obama spoke about it a few minutes ago, and we can only hope that he now sees that opportunity to make my dad priority number one at this point. That now that this deal is done, I think my father's safe return home should be the top of the agenda for the U.S. and Iran as they go forward. What better way for Iran to show it's a goodwill gesture than by helping my father and returning him home to us? Because right now the whole world is watching Iran and wants to see what's going to happen next now that these negotiations are finished. Yep.
This week we mark the 5th anniversary of the disappearance of Bob Levinson from Kish Island, Iran. To the members of the Levinson family, we in the FBI share in your heartache, but we also share in your sense of hope of Bob's safety, hope of Bob's health, and hope of his homecoming. We in the FBI are working every day to bring your husband, your father, and your grandfather back home to you. I was a special agent of the FBI for 22 years, and that means something to each and every one of us in the Bureau.
And we will continue to try to seek his release and return to the United States.
The news agency says the CIA paid the Levinson family $2.5 million to avoid a public lawsuit and disciplined 10 analysts.